Hey guys, it's West here. Welcome back to another episode of the Summoners War Update series. I hope you guys have been doing well, and I'm glad you guys came back for another episode. So today we're going to talk about, as usual, what I did this last week. And what I did was create my next 6-star. As I did announce in my last video, it is Mihyang. Very excited to have her. I've used her in Giants a little bit. I've used her in Dragons, as well as played around in Raid 3. I know I'm not ready for Raid, I'm well aware of that, but I was just curious of how she'd perform since she is apparently such an acclaimed Raid monster. And so we're going to go right in and talk about her because I'm extremely excited. Anybody who does not know her, here are her skills. First skill, much like Chasun, many of you may know, glancing touch on an enemy with a 50% harmful effect rate at max skill. Her second skill I like a lot. It is a damage-based skill. It's based off of her attack damage. Attacks 3 times each time, having a 50% chance to remove a beneficial effect. And the damage increases. The amount of your attack percentage that goes into the skill's damage is based on her speed. If that makes any sense, her speed is used as part of the multiplier. If you're curious about the exact numbers, of course you could check it out on the Summoners War Wikia page. But the reason I like the skill so much is it removes a beneficial effect with a 50% chance each time it attacks. So 50% chances to remove a beneficial effect, as well as dealing pretty decent damage. And if it does remove a beneficial effect, you increase your entire team's attack bar by 15% for each one removed. So if you remove 3 beneficial effects from an enemy, you can get 45% attack bar increase essentially, which is really cool. It's really neat. I really like the mechanic behind this skill. And at max skill, it's down to a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty nice. The big reason why many people use Mihyang, besides the fact that she does damage, is the fact that she has HP recovery based on attack with a fairly decent multiplier. And what it does that's really beneficial to your team is it increases the time of all beneficial effects by 1 and decreases the time of all harmful effects by 1. Which will basically increase the buff rate of my Megan in many cases. It can decrease stuns, so things like stuns and freezes, which can't be removed by a Veramos in something like Raid. Mihyang's able to take off, stuff like that, stuff like Oblivion, which is one of the reasons why she's used in Raid so heavily. Is that third skill brings a lot to the table, and that also goes down to a 3-turn cooldown when max skilled. So she does a lot, as well as having a decent amount of damage. Here are her stats here that I got to her. I think with fairly decent runes. I really like the runes I have on her so far. She's on Swiftblade, and the numbers themselves may not look very significant, but for a monster with 670 attack at max level 6-star, I feel like the attack is fairly decent. The HP could be higher, as well as the defense. I wish the defense was like 1200, maybe 1300. The problem is most of my substats went into crit rate, crit damage, and attack wherever I could get it. The speed also is something I'd like at 200. She is on an attack slot too, because I don't have a Swift rune right now that I would feel is good enough for Mihyang, so I might as well have her on attack slot 2 so that her heals are bigger and her damage is nicer. Her crit rate is 76%. I could get it up to 86 right now if I really wanted to change around some runes on some monsters, but I don't want to sacrifice any of the other substats currently. Her resistance is 64%, and that is on purpose. I did try to get her higher resistance. She does get that 15% or 25% chance, or 25% bonus resistance when she's awakened, which is pretty nice because you pretty much want her to remove stuns and freezes on your monsters for Rift Beast and raids. That's the big thing with her third skill, is that it can cleanse all that off. Kodamaya could essentially do the same thing, but Kodamaya is not going to give you the same kind of damage output that Mihyang has potential to do, as well as Kodamaya does not bring beneficial effect removal to the table or glancing hit. So I really like her kit overall. Her accuracy isn't as high as I would like it to be. Landing glancing hit on the first skill, as well as possibly stripping buffs on the second skill. I would like her accuracy around 60% or higher. She is going to be used for PvP a little bit for me. I'm probably going to use her a little bit on arena offenses here and there, depending if it's a slow will shield comp, which I occasionally see around the Conqueror 1, Fighter 3 level, as well as some maybe some Guild Wars as well. But the big place I've been using her right now is Dragons. I actually have put her in the place of Spectra in my Dragons team, and she has slowed it down a little bit, but she has increased the success rate to 100% so far, which is very impressive to me. In the 30 or 40 runs, I know that's not a lot that I've done with her, she's yet to fail me once. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. I do have the fodder. I did not pull it out of storage, but I do have the fodder for one more 6-star, all 5-star, 5-starred, evolved up to 5-star, ready to make my next 6-star. I've not completely decided who yet. I was tempted to just go ahead and do Huahi, since I would like to have all 3 of the Skydancer sisters. The only thing is Huahi does not have a rune set allocated to her. I would probably take Fatal Blade from, from a mixture of my monsters that I don't use, like Rauk I don't use, and Daphne isn't really getting used. He only had runes for testing. And Huahi's stats are pretty decent at 6-star. I was also considering a monster like Bulldozer or Copper, or maybe even Sekhmet, because of course I need a Guild Wars team. I am sitting out of Guild Wars currently. I don't really have monsters that I think could contribute to us winning wars, and so I'd rather not take up a spot for someone else. And I did get my Ifrit, so I'm not super stressed about the Ifrit, and usually getting my bonus guild points just for being in the guild by the end of the week will be enough for my Rainbow Mon, so I've been fine so far. I probably wouldn't 6-star any of my other natural 5-star monsters. Eladriel really doesn't have a purpose for me right now, other than looking cool and potentially Guild Ward and arena defense. This Fire Valk, other than a leader skill, is going to remain here. I would put her in storage, but her 33% speed leader in arena offense is very significant, so that's why she stays out of storage. Let's see. Chamomir, I would like Violent for him, so I'm probably not going to 6-star and rune him up until he's on Violent. I considered 6-starring some Necro monsters, but there's really no point until I have the runes locked down, and right now I really need Violent runes for a lot of monsters. I considered making Stella a 5 or a 6-star, just because she brings a lot to the table for a lot of things, for potentially Rift Beasts with the brand effect, a lot of single target nuke potential in Guild Wars, and some increased damage and speed in Dragons, but again it'd be a slightly later game build. Other than that, I really can't think of anybody. I'm always open to suggestions in the description, of course, below, as to who I should 6-star, but let's go ahead and talk about my Dragons team. So here's my current Dragons team setup. Previously I had Mihyang sitting out and I had Spectra sitting in. Spectra is of course in there for the massive percentage damage skill on skill 2, dealing about 25,000 to the dragon with armor break, and the attack bar reduction in slow, which was pretty decent, giving my monsters extra turns. But oftentimes, even with him on the team, he wouldn't really survive past the mini-boss, and that's probably because he's on accuracy slot 6 instead of HP or defense slot 6, and I guess that could be easily mitigated. But when Mihyang essentially keeps the time maybe 2 seconds slower and brings a 100% success rate, I'm much happier having her here. Of course, I could probably speed up the time if I had her on a speed slot 2. Like I said, I'm still looking to get a swift speed 6-star slot 2 with good substats for her, which is pretty high requirements, since in substats she basically wants perfect substats on every one of her runes in order to be as efficient as she can be. I'll go ahead and start this run for you. I want to talk about potential failures and ways that my team goes through. So oftentimes on the mini-boss, it is not uncommon for me to lose one unit. For the most part, that unit before was Spectra, and so most of the time when I got to the main boss, I would 4-man the dragon anyways, which would mean Sigmaris, Vero, Megan, and Beladian, which would mean I wouldn't have the attack bar reduction or slow, and I would still be able to make it through. Here with Mihyang, most of the time I get to the dragon with 5 units, and even if I lose a key member like Sigmaris, I'm still able to clear. Recently I also had a run where I lost Megan, and it was no problem. I still finished with a 2-minute 30-second time. Here Beladian gets pretty low. Mihyang should heal here, and it should be fine. You see, okay, there's a 7,000 heal with no attack buff, so it's pretty nice. Of course, again, if Mihyang was on a speed slot too, I would feel a lot more confident about this team. Just because she'd be getting the heal off more often, she'd be attacking more often, increasing the amount of damage output she has. So that would be nice. I don't know if Beladian would die here. He's at 1,000 defense and roughly 21,000 HP, so I think he's fairly safe here. You can see Mihyang's damage output is decent. I'm not extremely impressed. Of course, her base attack is 600 right now, where she's at level 35 6-star, but it's not too huge of a deal. The big thing also is she will often land if the immunity is off, she will land the glancing on the dragon, which will, with the attack bar reduction or the attack debuff from Sigmaris's third skill, will oftentimes render the dragon's attack useless, even with 2 dots, which is really nice. The only gripe I have with Mihyang right now is the AI is a little bit stupid in the way that oftentimes she will use her Blade Fan as a damaging skill rather than a buff strip, which is a little bit annoying sometimes when you wish you had it, because that attack bar increase that you get will give you pretty significant turn advantage, even just the 15% against the dragon, which is nice. But I guess it's fine. See, even with a dot on Veramos there, he was able to survive, which was pretty crazy. So here's the team. This is even far beneath the ideal scenario, because the ideal scenario is Mihyang uses her buff strips perfectly. As you can see here, this time is very respectable, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. Sub 3 minute dragons runs that are 100% successful is pretty good in my opinion. And I say 100% because it's yet to fail for me. Of course, I'm sure that I will find a scenario today where it fails, but so far it is not. So I will continue to call this 100% successful. And I would dare to say the Spectra runs were, maybe 90% successful, because 1 out of 10 runs, Spectra would die to the MiniBoss, and they would immediately switch focus to Veramos. And if Veramos gets focused down, he gets the defense break on him by the tower, and he derps his stun, and maybe Sigmaris doesn't crit, then there's huge potential for the dragon to wipe 2 units at my mini-boss stage. And if you lose 2 units at the mini-boss stage, you're likely going to fail the run. And that happened, 1 out of 10 runs, which really was upsetting to me. And it's kind of sad to take Spectra out, because, here we go, where Veramos might die. Yeah, Veramos is dead here. I still think we're going to win this run. We're going to go see. This is the first time Veramos has died in a run with Mihyang. But it's kind of sad to see Spectra go, because seeing those 24, 25k hits on the dragon felt really good. But I don't know, I really like the success rate. See, look, right there, 11,000, 12,000 HP with attack buff on Mihyang. So I'm going to shut up and let this run finish, but I'm pretty happy with Mihyang's performance so far. So the only thing we're missing out on here by not having Veramos is that cleansing that dot. Because Mihyang, yeah, we're going to lose Beladian. So this actually may be a fail here. Wow, actually we didn't lose Beladian yet. We are going to lose him to this double dot damage, surely, yeah. So I guess the one scenario where this team loses is when Veramos dies. Because every other scenario so far, it has been successful. And I think that can be mitigated by having more speed on Mihyang. I'm sure it will be, because her heal will be up more often, and she's not max skill either. So there's a lot we can do. Here's our one speed rune we have here. I could put her on a blade. The problem is I can't put her on a blade speed rune, because then I won't have a 6-star rune for slot 6 or slot 4 that will accommodate Mihyang's requirements. See, this one is a very desperate 6-star rune right here that I'm probably not going to plus 15, just because it's not where I want it to be. It's got resistance and crit rate, but that's about it. That's my team. Let's talk about other stuff. TOA, still at TOA hard 93. Probably not going to be able to beat that. That's the Leo and 4 Ragdolls. Very difficult stage. Let's think of what else. I don't know. Occasionally, when it's late at night and I have energy, I'll do the Fire Rift Beast because I can get an A rank on it. 1.6, 1.7 million damage. I am going to be farming Giants more, of course. I really want to get those better Swift Blade runes. As I've gotten some Violent runes, let's go through my Violent runes really quickly. I've gotten a few Violent runes somewhere that I thought were fairly decent. Like, this is fairly decent for a support monster. 12 speed, 13 accuracy is nice. And if I could get speed and accuracy like that on multiple different runes, I'll be very happy. See, this is a fairly nice rune for an attacker. I just got this rune recently. I know it's 5-star, but, you know, speed and accuracy is nice. This rune's nice. This would probably go on Mihyang if I were to put her on a Violent set, which I would like to eventually. And if I do put on a Violent set, she may temporarily be on speed, attack, although this crit damage rune is nice as well. I don't know. I have some fairly decent Violent runes that need to be, you know, plussed. The problem is, I think on a Violent set, I still... I wouldn't be getting the same amount of potential out of Mihyang as I do with this Swift set, especially with a speed slot too. So I'm going to keep grinding for those speed runes. I'm going to keep, you know, saving up summoning stones that I get for the Lucian rotation. I don't know how many of you have checked out the rotation 2 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now? 3 weeks from now. The rotation with Lucian I really like. I'd love to get the Sky Dancer food. I have Fire Anubis, but he's, you know, he's skill up food. So is the Wind Kung Fu Girl, and then all the Nat 5s I pretty much like. You know, Okeanos, or this is Triton, is pretty cool. Zeros is amazing, and Alicia's amazing. You know, enough said. So I'm probably going to be saving my stones for then. I believe TOA will reset. Yeah, TOA will reset in time for me to get another 2 summons. Almost 2 summons from that as well. So I'm pretty excited about the Lucian summon. Hopefully we can get a Lucian then. But in the meantime, I'm going to keep farming away. My crystals are pretty low, but I'm sure with this event I'll be able to get some more and do some more refills. But I'm going to keep playing, and I've got a new series coming up, and I'm really excited to show it to you guys. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well. I hope you guys have a good one, and I hope you guys pull the units you want to pull and get the runes you want to get. You guys have a good one.